what if I told you the key to a healthier, longer life has nothing to do with counting calories? That it's really about understanding one single, powerful biological secret? Well, today we're going to dig into the science that cuts through all that noise and confusion around diet advice. And we're going to do it by following one man's pretty intense life or death quest for the truth. I mean, just imagine feeling that while you're out for an evening run. And this wasn't some dramatic line from a movie or no. This was the terrifying reality for science journalist Bas Kast. And it forced him to question absolutely everything he thought he knew about his health. That one single, brutal moment kicked off a journey that would change everything. So, what exactly led to a moment like that? I mean, before his heart basically slammed on the emergency brakes, Castro really saw himself as the picture of health. But as you'll see, beneath the surface, there was this huge, dangerous gap widening between how he saw himself and what was actually happening to his body. And here's the disconnect, right? On paper, he's a fit, long-distance runner. Awesome. But in reality, his body was being fueled by, well, coffee, chips, and chocolate. He kind of thought he was one of those lucky people who was fat-resistant, even while this stubborn spare tire was setting up shop around his waist. He was just ignoring all the signs, thinking his running could somehow cancel out a really bad diet. And then came the wake-up call he absolutely could not ignore. His body just slammed on the brakes. That fist of steel he felt squeezing his heart, it was a terrifying, unmistakable signal that something was deeply, deeply wrong. And that was the moment, right there, that launched him out of his blissful ignorance and straight into this urgent, personal quest for answers. Okay, so where do you even begin when something like that happens? Naturally, Kos first turned to all that conventional diet wisdom. The stuff we've all heard a million times. And what he found was it was almost completely useless. Let's get into why. Right, you know the drill. Energy balance. Calories in, calories out. Just eat less and exercise more. It sounds so logical, doesn't it? If you want to lose weight, just burn more calories than you take in. But, as Cast quickly figured out, that advice is, well, it's just not very helpful at all. And this analogy just nails why that advice falls so flat. Saying you're overweight because you eat too much, that's like saying Bill Gates is rich because he made more money than he spent. I mean, yeah, it's technically true, but it explains absolutely nothing. The real important question isn't that we overeat, it's why we overeat. What's actually driving us to do it? So conventional wisdom had totally failed him. He realized he had to find the real answers for himself. And this wasn't just some intellectual side project. For him, this was literally about survival. So he dove headfirst into the scientific literature, and I mean deep, sifting through more than 1,000 studies to truly understand the hidden mechanisms that control our health and our hunger. And out of all that intense research, something incredible started to emerge. A stunningly powerful idea. A kind of biological secret that explains so much about why we eat the way we do. It's called the protein leverage hypothesis. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's totally revolutionary. It says that our appetite, our hunger, is driven first and foremost by our body's powerful craving for protein. We will just keep eating and eating until we hit our specific protein target. And we'll do that no matter how many extra calories from carbs and fat we have to eat to get there. Now, a really clever experiment in a Swiss chalet actually proved this works in humans. So get this, for the first 2 days, everyone got to eat whatever they wanted from a huge buffet. Then they split them into two groups. One group got a buffet that was low in protein, the other got one high in protein. And the results? The group with the low protein food instinctively ate about 12% more calories overall. They weren't told to, their bodies were just unconsciously searching for that protein they weren't getting. And you know who is absolutely brilliant at exploiting this biological quirk? The modern food industry. Think about something like barbecue-flavored chips. That smoky, savory flavor sends a signal to your brain saying, hey, protein is coming, like a steak. But what do you actually get? Almost pure carbs and fat. So your body just keeps telling you to eat more, searching for the protein it was promised but never finds. Next thing you know, the whole bag is gone. It's the perfect protein trap. Okay, so understanding this whole protein thing is obviously a huge piece of the puzzle for managing weight. But Cass's research didn't stop there. It went deeper, towards the ultimate goal, which isn't just about living longer, but about living healthier for as long as possible. And this is a really important difference to understand. You have your lifespan, which is just the total number of years you're alive. But then you have your health span. That's the number of years you live in good, vibrant health without chronic diseases. And that's the real goal, right? Not just to tack on more years, but to stretch out that healthy, active part of life for as long as we can. So, what kind of diet actually helps create a long health span? Well, a really big study on Seventh day Adventists, a group that's well known for their healthy lifestyles, gives us a massive clue. Researchers looked at all their different dietary patterns, and the results were pretty striking. It turns out that the pescatarians, the ones who ate fish but no other meat, had the lowest risk of death from, well, anything. Now, that data points us to a really fascinating question. What happens if we look at some of the longest living people in the world, like the folks in Okinawa, Japan? What do they actually eat? Well, what we find is a diet that is overwhelmingly plant-based, with a good amount of fish and only tiny occasional bits of meat. It's the exact same pattern. All right, so how do we take all of this, the protein secret, the health span science, and turn it into something practical? Well, that's what Kast did. He distilled all this complex science down into a really simple set of principles, basically a new food compass to help us navigate. Okay, here are the key points of this new compass. First, just eat real unprocessed food. You know, the stuff that doesn't have a long list of ingredients. Next, make plants the main event on your plate. When it comes to protein, focus on the good stuff. Fish, pulses like lentils, and nuts. Go for fermented dairy like yogurt instead of just milk. And really limit red and processed meats. Think of them as a treat. Finally, try to eat within a specific window of time each day. It gives your body a much-needed break to rest and repair. And for Bas Kast, the guy who started this whole journey, the results were absolutely life-changing. He started following these principles, and his terrifying heart problems, they just vanished. That stubborn spare tire, it melted away, and he found himself feeling fitter and more energetic than he had in years. It was proof that his personal deep dive had paid off big time. You know, this whole journey started with a terrifying health crisis, but it ended with incredible clarity. Kastan used science to forge his own compass to navigate the confusing world of food, and the evidence really does point to a clear path forward. So the only question left is, where will your compass point you?